Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abaya goeiedag. A very good day to you, Molweni, and welcome to our special holiday episode of Life Matters. In this edition, we're calling it Sleepy Seasons because that's what we're going to be chatting about. Joining me online is sleep consultant Bibi Patel, an expert pediatric sleep consultant. Today, we discuss the matter of how to protect our children's sleep patterns during the holiday chaos. Now, children who maintain consistent sleep schedules have actually been proven to perform better academically, and holiday travel can disrupt the sleep patterns for up to 2 weeks after the return from holiday. We all know the struggles, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So today, Sarah will share some valuable insights on this topic, inshallah. I'm excited to introduce Sarah Bibi Patel, a trusted sleep consultant with a wealth of knowledge on your children's sleep. Sarah Bibi Patel is a certified sleep consultant working with a company called Good Night. They're a sleep consultancy that specializes in baby and toddler sleep. Now, Sarah is based in Leandra, Mpumalanga, and we're very pleased to have her online. And Good Night as well has quite a large local and international clientele base, and they can consult with you wherever you are in the world. And they are celebrating being in business for 12 years this month, mashallah. Now today, Sarah will, inshallah, help parents with practical tips for protecting children's sleep routines during the school holidays or any holidays for that matter. She's absolutely dedicated to helping families thrive through better sleep. With her expertise, inshallah, we'll explore maintaining children's sleep patterns, especially when it's time to wind down. Fortunately, the Almighty has blessed us with parenting, being a parent 24/7, alhamdulillah, and hopefully you can also wind down. But let's dive into her valuable insights on holiday sleep challenges. Assalamu alaikum to you, Sarah, and welcome back to Life Matters.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Sister Khawa, and Jazakallah so much for having me, and assalamu alaikum to you and your listeners.
Only a pleasure. We loved your last show, and there were so many comments and queries around that, so definitely a pleasure having you back. Today, we want to discuss how to protect our children's sleep patterns during this holiday chaos. So please, Sarah, if you can elaborate on what is the most significant holiday sleep disruptors for children, and how do sleep disruptors actually impact children's mood, their behavior, and even possibly their school performance?
Sister Khawa, I love talking about sleep because sleep is so vitally important to our overall well-being.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell parents, just as when your baby is not feeling, when your baby doesn't sleep well, a parent feels sleep deprived, and you are short of temper. You are quick to react. You are maybe grumpy all the time because you just want to sleep. So in exactly the same way, our children feel the same way when they are suffering from lack of sleep. Children need a lot more sleep than us as adults. They need almost double the amount of sleep when it comes to the nighttime sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, holidays means no routine. Holiday means going out at night. Holidays mean late bedtimes. And to a certain extent, I do accept that all of that is normal and it's part and parcel of life. But I also think, as Islam so beautifully encourages us, everything in moderation. So even in the holidays, be moderate in the late nights. Be moderate in letting go of your routine, because I can definitely guarantee your child will enjoy the late nights. They will enjoy the lack of routine to a certain extent, but then there will also come a point where they will need to catch up on the sleep that they were missing out. They will actually appreciate the routine because it does give them a sense of security, because routine gives a child a sense of stability. They know what to expect. So lack of routine can also mean insecurity in a child because they don't know what to expect during the course of the day and for nights.
Okay, so I want to talk about routine, but firstly, what common mistakes do parents make during the school holidays that actually affects the children's sleep?
I definitely think it's just the lack of sleep. We don't prioritize our child's sleep. Typically during the school year, we are very much into routine. Parents have to go to work. Maybe older children have to go to school. So we prioritize that early bedtime. We make it a priority with our children. But then once school holidays come, then it's like, well, they don't need to go to school, they can have a late night, it's really not a problem. And the thing is, when it comes to our ability to sleep, we talk about our circadian rhythm. Allah has given each living organism a circadian rhythm, and it is our internal biological clock which drives our need for sleep. So one of the best ways to regulate sleep is to regulate, if our circadian rhythm is regulated, then our sleep becomes regulated. And our metabolism, our eating habits, also forms part of that metabolism. So not only is it important to keep to a sleep routine, or to a semblance of a sleep routine during the holidays, your feeding routine, your meal times are also vitally important, because it's so closely linked to that circadian rhythm. So I do think the two main components to maintaining and regulating and keeping our circadian rhythm well adjusted is to make sure that at least your meal times and around about the same sleeping times. I won't say exactly the same sleeping times. Moms come and have an argument with me, but around the same sleeping time and the meal times are the two fundamentals that you can try to keep in place to make sure that the wheels don't fall off the wagon completely.
Let's talk about routine and consistency. I would like you to elaborate now on that routine and consistency and how it plays a role in managing that child's emotions. What does it do to that child, especially during the holidays?
So when children are sleep deprived, or if they are not getting the necessary amount of sleep that they need, then their emotional side of the brain takes dominance. They find it very hard to self-regulate. They find it very hard to use logic and reasoning. So there you will, when a child is tired, they will be more prone to meltdowns. They will be more prone to crabby behavior. Their appetite might also take a dip simply because they are just tired and their bodies instinctively know that they need to sleep. Sleep needs of children change as they get older. But I think the main thing for me for the daytime routine is that if your child is still young enough that they need naps in the day, I would not necessarily skip the naps completely. I would still make sure that your baby is still napping in the day. However, it is holidays. We are out and about. We are, busy socializing. You may be doing things at a shopping mall with your kids. Whatever it may be, I don't have a problem where a baby sleeps or where a child sleeps, but I would just like to get them to have some sort of sleep to prevent that overtiredness. Because when they are overtired, their sensory nervous system is dysregulated, and then that is where they find it very hard to regulate emotion and use thinking and reasoning when facing with problems. They will have a small issue, and it's an opportunity for a huge meltdown because they are just overtired.
So let's try and avoid those meltdowns because we know they become uncontrollable. So the disruptors, I want to touch a bit on that. Cultural, societal pressures, do they impact children's sleep during the holidays, and how can parents possibly balance fun with the sleeping needs? And can parents actually involve children in maintaining their sleep routines during the holidays with all of the disruptors in mind?
I definitely think, to answer your last question, that every child is different. When it comes to a child's diet for sleep, every child has a different sensory diet. So there are some children who will love sleep. Those are the babies I do not see in my line of work. They are they are good sleepers. They are naturally good sleepers. And then on the flip side, I've got other babies who don't like sleep. They do not see sleep as fun. They always want to be part of the activity. They don't want to miss out on anything. So I do believe it is also important to take into consideration your child's needs, because every child is different. So for example, my son is, he's alhamdulillah, has always been a good sleeper, but he is someone who can function on relatively less sleep. He can afford a late night and he will be fine. So in tailoring to his need, I know that I can be a little bit more flexible with him, because he doesn't mind having a disruptive bedtime routine. He doesn't mind a slightly later bedtime. With one of my twins, on the other hand, she is very naturally a creature of habit. She appreciates routine. She loves routine. She thrives on it. So even when I go out for a weekend and it's a Saturday night and I haven't put them into their pajamas yet, my twin will now come to me and ask me, Mommy, can I go put my pajamas on? Because her circadian rhythm and her body clock is already telling her around this time, you usually are in your pajamas and you are usually getting ready for sleep. So it's important to listen to each child and to provide what your child needs. When it comes to the disruptors, yes, I do think society sometimes can make it hard for a parent to keep to routine. It's like, let's go out for supper, and then you say, oh,
Mm,
but kids need to sleep, and you think, but let them sleep. But they can. It's holidays; they can sleep
mm,
later. And I do believe everything in moderation. That yes, you can go out for a night. You can go out for a late night. You can have your kids maybe sleep at 9 or 10 o'clock at night on one night. But I also think you have to also understand that our children are in amanat.
yeah,
Allah Ta'ala has entrusted our children to us, just as we prioritize meeting our children's needs in the sense of it is my responsibility to make sure my child is efficiently clothed, my child is has a good diet, I give my
mm,
child the best of education. I honestly do believe sleep is a need. Your child needs sleep. And so it is our amanat to fulfill that need for our
mm,
child's sleep. And so if you're going to go out one night and have a really super late night, maybe the next night consider staying in, giving your children the opportunity of catching up on some lost sleep. They can have a slightly early night, and then the next night, maybe then you can go out again, because it really will make your holiday so much more bearable when your children are regulated and
yeah.
sleeping well. So yeah, flexibility, but
Okay.
everything in moderation as
I
well.
like that idea. Do it one night and then go crazy the next. Thank you, Sada, for your expertise. It has given us much food for thought. If you have further questions, please do message us. We like how you make the show. So our WhatsApp line and social media pages are available. Stay tuned to our next segment where we'll discuss strategies for maintaining consistent sleep schedules during the holidays. Back in a moment. Welcome back to our holiday special of seasonal sleepless nights. If not, let's keep that going to good routine. Did you know consistent bedtime routines improves sleep quality in children? So, like that one twin Sarah Center she has, if they're coming up and say, "Mommy, Dad, I'm ready to sleep," help them and support them. Let's help our children achieve that quality sleep. And if we show good quality sleep, they will have it as well. Nasara is a passionate sleep expert committed to empowering parents with effective sleep strategies. We now tackle some practical strategies for keeping children's sleep schedule uh, in this routine on track and during the school holidays. I know it doesn't help when your helpers are not around, but maybe have some emergency numbers of babysitters or other helpers, family members that can assist if you need to go out and they still need to keep in to routine. So, Sarah, how can we, as parents, establish that flexible, as you mentioned, but yet consistent sleep schedule during holidays? What if you could share some tips for creating a sleep conducive environment also within that holidays, and how important is conversing with your child, communicating with a child when you want to start implementing these sort of schedules?
Sister Kawa, I think for our younger babies, it's much easier to implement a routine because
Mm-hmm.
a younger baby doesn't have an opinion. You can put them down to sleep and they will appreciate it, because they don't really have an opinion of what they would like to do. It's more
Yeah.
our older children that we get a bit of pushback about, but I'm not tired and I don't want to go to sleep right now and I'm still playing. That is normal for older children. So I definitely, when it comes to consistency, I do believe sleep needs to happen. But when I talk about flexibility, then what I mean by flexibility is that it doesn't have to happen in a room, in a sleep environment, in a darkened room, with a quiet environment. That is that flexibility for me. So Alhamdulillah, I've lived life. My children have fallen asleep
Mm,
in every single scenario. They've fallen asleep at swimming pools. They've had naps at the beach. They've had naps
yeah.
at shopping malls. They've had naps at weddings. So I do believe that the consistency is making sure the nap does happen, but the
Okay.
flexibility is it doesn't have to be in your hotel room, in your house. You don't need to be nap trapped where you think I've got to be at home to have my child
Mm,
nap. 100% a conducive sleep environment does encourage better sleep. A child sleeping in a darkened room when it's quiet will definitely sleep for longer versus a baby who's napping in a pram in a busy shopping mall or at the swimming pool.
mm,
And that for me is again that flexibility that I don't need your baby to be having a super great or long nap. It's normal that naps on the go are going to be on the shorter side, and that's also okay. When babies are younger and they have multiple naps in the day, like 3 naps or 2 naps in the day, then I tell my parents, you can choose to focus on 1 nap being in the sleep environment so that you are giving your baby an opportunity to have a good nap. We are in the ideal sleep environment and my baby can have a good nap. Then once your baby has that first morning nap of the day, then you can pick up and you can go and you can live your life and you can do whatever you needed, what you had planned for the rest of the day, and let your baby's second nap or third nap, even the second and the third nap, be in a pram, in a car seat, on daddy's arms in the shopping mall. It's not a problem because it's that flexibility that the naps happened. We prioritized 1 nap of the day in an ideal sleep environment. And in the rest of the day, even if it was short naps, we always have bedtime as an opportunity to give our babies to catch up on whatever sleep they might have lost during that busy afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to add now because now I'm thinking of traveling, and I take my hat off to all parents that take their children with on Umrah, that take them overseas, and I enjoy getting on a plane with my hubby on my own. But it is quite a challenge when you do decide to travel with your children. Let's talk about how parents can manage the travel in different time zones and the changes that happens within that, and also possibly help minimize the sleep disruption as well?
Honestly, Sister Khawa, I completely 100% agree with you. Those parents are super brave,
Yeah.
and I take my hat off for them because I'm not brave enough to attempt it. Even when my babies were younger, it really takes a certain level of bravery to attempt it. But on that note, I always recommend to my clients that flexibility is the name of the game when you are traveling. So, in terms of your holiday, there are 2 aspects for me that I break up the holiday. Number one is the travel aspect, connecting flights, being in the airport, waiting in the airport. For the travel aspect, I always tell my parents, flexibility is the name of the game. You just go with the flow and you do whatever you need to do to keep your baby calm and happy. Once you get to your destination, that's the second component of travel. And that's where I do believe now you can start trying to get some sort of consistency. You need to understand that jet lag might also play a role. So with regards to the traveling of, going from airport to airport, taxi to airport, flights, whatever it may be, there I tell my parents, just do whatever you need to do as a family to survive that trip. You do whatever you need to do. It doesn't matter if your baby skips a nap. It doesn't matter if your baby is napping at the wrong time. You just do whatever you need to do to survive. When you get to your destination, if you are traveling overseas, where there is a significant time difference, the most important thing is jumping straight into that country's time zone, because the quicker you actually jump into the time zone, the quicker you are giving your circadian rhythm and a chance to adapt to the time difference. Exposing yourself and your family to natural sunlight, it is really amazing how Allah has created the circadian rhythm and how important the exposure of natural sunlight is in teaching the body the concept of time. So I really do encourage parents, if you get there and your body clock is telling you it's night, but it's actually day, go on into the day, expose your babies and yourself to natural sunlight, because it takes 5 to 7 days for our bodies to reset, for our circadian rhythm to reset. So if a parent is going on a 2-week holiday, I do prepare them that, just so you know, the first 5 to 7 days, it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, a little bit iffy here and there, because it's going to take 5 to 7 days for your circadian rhythm and your child's circadian rhythm to adapt to the fact that you are in a new time zone. And then exactly the same thing when they come back at home, give your child a week or even 2 weeks to get back into the routine, because it takes 5 to 7 days for the circadian rhythm to readjust to the changes when you're back home.
So when we're on holiday, we love spending time with the family. We enjoy all their moments and precious time, but we also have to set boundaries when it comes to protecting our child's sleep. So let's explore the boundaries parents must set with family and friends to protect their children's sleep.
Sister Khawa, I think a lot of families struggle with this, and I honestly understand why, because I do believe every family dynamic is different. So, my first piece of advice that I give a client when it comes to boundaries is that you and your husband need to determine what your boundaries are when it comes to your children. Once you articulate and once you determine what your boundaries are, then you can go on and communicate those boundaries to your child as your child gets older, and you can then communicate those boundaries to your extended family. So sleep was I recommend from the age of 2 years of age. I do recommend to parents that sleep should become a boundary because it does become a discipline factor. When a child is 2 years old and you tell them it's time for you to go to bed and they tell you, but I don't want to, then you need to decide, am I going to listen to my child or am I going to hold the boundary because I know what is best for my child? So boundaries are super important. Sleep does become a boundary. So like I mentioned, if a family wants to go out for supper, by all means go out for supper. That is, you are spending time with the family. But then when it's time for your child to sleep, if your child has an 8 p.m. bedtime, then maybe around 8 or 8:30, put your child in the pram, take a quiet walk outside of the restaurant and get them to sleep. So you are still kind of managing to get both ways. You're still getting supper out, but you are also still trying to get your child to sleep at the right time. Some children will not sleep. They absolutely refuse to sleep in stimulated environments, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
The entire point of going out for supper is to enjoy your time with family. I don't need or want a mom to be quiet in a corner, frustrated because she's trying to get her baby to sleep and her child just refuses. I say we offer the child the opportunity to sleep. If it doesn't work, then you can give it up and you can come back home and then focus on putting them to sleep. But also, I think, again, moderation, that communicating to the extended family, we're doing this tonight, maybe tomorrow night we're going to sit it out, but we can do it the next night so that you can also give your child the opportunity to get the sleep that they need.
Sarah, could you just guide us with some practical schedules? If there is possibly that you can share with us some samples of sleep schedules that one could use during the holidays, maybe just a typical example.
Yes, 100%. So all of our routine templates are on our Instagram page. You can go and look at Goodnight Baby SA. We've got a whole lot of routine templates. The only thing with the routine template is that it's incredibly age appropriate. So if a mom is coming to me with a 7-year-old child, my advice for that mom will be different to a mom with a 6-month-old baby. So all of our routine templates are on our Instagram page, but I would definitely think the first thing that you can do as a starting point to maintain some sort of consistency over the holiday is just to make sure that your baby is still waking up around the same time every single day. Sometimes when we have holidays, it's super late nights. Maybe children are sleeping at 10 o'clock at night, and then they are sleeping all the way until 10 o'clock in the morning. And then their circadian rhythm is completely inconsistent. So then I would say one piece of advice is I would say, as far as possible, try and keep your baby's wake up time to around the same hour. It's holidays. We don't want to start the day at 6 o'clock. Maybe you don't need to start the day at 6 a.m. But then maybe by 7 a.m., if your baby is still sleeping at that point, then you can wake your baby up so that at least you've got a base point of saying that our routine only varied by an hour here or there, or 30 and 45 minutes here and there, not something so significant where a child is usually waking up at 6 a.m. and now in the holidays waking up at 10. There's a whole 4-hour adjustment this child is going to have to adapt to and change before school starts. So keeping your awake time around the same time and keeping your bedtime around the same time. Those are the first two components to maintaining a circadian rhythm that stays well adjusted throughout the holiday period.
Thank you, Sarah. Your expertise has really been invaluable in this discussion. Please do stay tuned to our next segment where we'll discuss managing holiday stimuli and overexcitement, which happens all the time during the holidays when you just want to chill out, to hopefully ensure a smooth transition to bedtime. Back in a moment. Now, we all know holidays can be overwhelming for all our children, including the fun bits. How can we help them wind down? And unfortunately, screen time is something that most parents opt to do to take a break from their kids and everyone else, or even use it to distract the child. Now, did you know that screen time just before bedtime actually reduces melatonin production by 55%, and that includes adults? Let's now explore practical ways for managing holidays and your children's holiday stimuli and overexcitement. Sarah, if you could just help guide parents in regulating their child's sugar and caffeine intake. It's something that you spoke earlier on food, and we cannot speak enough about it because around every holiday and every occasion, food has to be there. Now, what is some of the guidance you can give around that? And also if there's some possible screen-free activities for kids just before bedtime, any suggestions around that?
Jesus, there's so much that you can actually do.
Okay.
But firstly, with regards to the diet, I definitely understand that over the holidays, we're not so strict. We're a little bit more lenient with the sugar and caffeine intake. I just recommend to parents that come the late part of the afternoon, that's the point where you want to start reducing your child's sugar intake and caffeine intake. So again, flexibility. So if your child wants a glass of juice or a glass of cold drink at supper time, by all means you can give it, but then I wouldn't give a full glass. I would give maybe just a little bit. Communicate to your child what your boundaries are. And I also think with our older children, it's equally important to give them the why and the reason why we put these boundaries in place. A lot of children will battle against our boundaries if they do not understand the logic and the reasoning behind it. So I would definitely say, come the later part of the afternoon, or once supper time is done, I would definitely then cut off your sugar and your caffeine intake, simply to allow your child to have be sufficiently winded down and not overstimulated going into bedtime. We always recommend a 30-minute bedtime wind down routine, simply because it takes that amount of time for a human being to actually wind down and fall asleep. It is not natural for us to go into bed and fall asleep immediately. It is completely normal for us to need some time to regulate and just calm down and wind down before sleep. My recommendation with regards to screen time is that 2 hours before bedtime, we cut off screen time. So typically by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I tell my parents we cut off screen time so that if a child is needing to sleep around 7 p.m. in the evening, then there's enough sufficient melatonin in their bodies. Our studies have shown that exposure to the blue light of your screen, whether it's your TV, your laptop, your mobile device, it's going to prohibit the melatonin production in your body for up to 2 hours. So that is why I always do recommend for children a cut of screen time 2 hours before bedtime. And for adults, ideally, you should be cutting off your screen about an hour before bedtime, although I know it's not 100% reality. It's definitely not reality in many of our homes. But if you find that you are having difficulty with sleeping, or if your child is having difficulty with sleep onset, which is falling asleep, then I would definitely recommend looking at that screen time and just checking the timing of when a child is having screen time. We don't have a problem with screen time. It's just the timing and how much a child is exposed to that we always tend to look at. A bedtime routine, the aim of a bedtime routine should be for you and your child to connect. So we definitely no screen zone. We do not recommend screens as part of the bedtime routine. We tell parents it's an opportunity for you as a parent to put your phone aside and focus on spending quality time with your children. 30 minutes is not a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. We have a whole 24 hours in a day. So get your baby for a bath, get your child in a bath, because a bath in the right part of the evening does help to accelerate the melatonin levels in our body. Melatonin is our sleep hormone, so we always recommend a bath as far as possible. Then once your child comes out of the bath, you can either keep your baby in a sleep environment in the room. You can just read your baby's du'as. You can maybe look at a picture book for younger children. I've got 3 children, so we do our bedtime routine in the lounge. It's just more practical, where all 3 of my children are in the lounge. We choose to do an activity where we give our children choice. What do you want to do? Do you want to build a puzzle with mommy and daddy? Do you want to play Uno? My son is a little bit of a Uno in a Uno craze at the moment. Do you want to play a memory game? Do you want to read books? I always would recommend books as part of a bedtime wind down routine. It is a fantastic exercise to do to wind your child down, but also the benefits of reading. It's very widely researched that reading to your child for the first 3 years of their life has immense benefit. So doing a book, letting your child choose the book that they want. They can even choose 2 if you would like them to. And sitting with them, connecting with them, then them sitting on your lap, or you huddling around with your kids and reading a picture book or reading a story, whatever it may be, and then taking them into the room. If you weren't already in a sleep environment, taking them into a slightly darkened room, making sure the room is not too hot or not too cold. 19 to 21 degrees is what we advise when it comes to the ideal temperature for sleep. And then reading du'as, kalimas with your older children. You can definitely do breathing exercises. That is something that helps to calm down their sensory nervous system. And then you spent a good 30 minutes preparing their body and their brain for sleep. Some children, depending on their sensory system, will crave movement during, they need to move in order to sleep. So you can have some rough house play. Some toddlers, boys, they love rough house play. it's not a bad thing because it does feed the sensory nervous system and it helps them in the long run to calm down. So again, making sure that you are feeding your child's need because every child is different. But 30 minutes starting with the bath is not overly difficult and not overly complicated, that you can do to set your baby and your child up for a successful night of sleep.
And just so that you mentioned that rough house play is something that an occupational therapist recommended for young babies. Doing that, it actually stimulates their brain function. It's an advantage. So sometimes it's a good thing to throw them up. Let's talk about physical activity during the day. How does that improve a child's sleep and also not overstimulating the child? And can you recommend sleep promoting holiday activities when it comes to physical activities?
Movement 100% is necessary for sleep. And unfortunately, we are living in a day and age where our children are becoming more sedentary. They are becoming less active, and that is definitely having a direct link on their ability to sleep well. So the thing is, in our bodies, we have something which we call our sleep pressure. It is our homeostatic sleep drive. And I always tell my parents, think of your sleep pressure as a balloon in the beginning of the day. It's a deflated balloon. As your day goes on and as you move and as you burn calories and as you are active in your day-to-day movement, that balloon is slowly filling up with air. And you want that balloon to be sufficiently filled with air come the evening when it's time for your child or for you to go to sleep. So if we are sedentary, if we have been couch potatoes the entire day, that balloon is sitting still. It's not filling up with air because we're not burning calories. We're not moving around much. So movement is very necessary to allow our body to build up sufficient sleep pressure. And then that sleep pressure allows us to be able to fall asleep easily. So with younger babies, that is why we use what we call an age-appropriate awake time to determine their naps, because that age-appropriate awake time is allowing your baby to fill sufficient air in their balloon to be able to fall asleep easily and sustain a longer period of sleep. If we push babies past that awake time, then I tell my parents, what happens when you have a balloon that was too full of air? It's going to burst. And that is when your child's sensory nervous system is completely dysregulated and you're going to have a struggle to put your baby to sleep because we push them beyond the awake time and now they are overtired and overstimulated and falling asleep becomes a problem. So that sleep pressure is very necessary to allow good sleep, and burning calories, movement is what builds that sleep pressure in our bodies.
What can help parents during their late sleeping holiday time? Because they need to be up and we have to parent 24/7. And I know helpers, is a great additive to the family, but they're not always around. Could you give us some constructive planning when it comes to parents that just want to, it's holiday, so a perfect reason to sleep late. With the child or without the child, some ideas around that. Mommy gets up usually after Fajr or stays up after Fajr, but now, you know what, they don't need to do anything. So let's take a quick nap, sleep till 10 o'clock. Any ideas around still creating that calm, that routine and that wake time for the child, but maybe parents just want to sleep late?
I honestly don't have a problem with parents wanting to sleep late. I'm one of myself and one of those parents. With my older children, now as children get older, it becomes easier to be able to communicate to them, what we want them to do. Because maybe it's natural that a child will still wake up early in the morning on a Sunday and you want to sleep in a little bit. So with my own children, for example, they are now 6 and 9 years of age, and we have very specific rules when it comes to sleep. The rule number one is that you are not allowed to get out of bed until 7 a.m. So if they are awake, it's not a problem. I don't have a problem with my kids waking up before 7, but because my husband and I are not ready to face the day before 7 o'clock, they need to stay in their bed. That is the number one rule. After 7 a.m., you can then come out of the room. They can go to the lounge. They can play with their toys. And it still allows mom and dad you can still sleep in. With the younger babies, unfortunately, you can't tell them to go out and play, but then you can bring them into your bed for some cuddle time. And some babies will chat, they'll have some cuddle time, and maybe they'll also fall asleep with the parents. Sometimes they'll stay awake, but at least it means the parents are still in bed and you can catch a slight snooze. As your children get older, there are amazing resources and tools to help children develop a concept of time. When my twins were 4 years old, they don't know what time is 7 o'clock in the morning. They are
Yes.
still too young to understand time.
Yeah.
But you get these amazing toddler clocks on the market, which change color. So I would tell my children, I would set the time for 7 a.m. and I would tell them, there's a picture of an owl. He goes to sleep at night. At 7 o'clock in the morning, the owl opens his eyes. It changes from a dark blue screen to a yellow screen where his eyes are open and there's all sun pictures all around, so that they can understand. They can understand a visual representation. So then I would tell them, if you wake up at any point and if Ollie the owl is sleeping, you need to stay asleep. If you wake up and Ollie the owl is awake, then that's fine. You can wake up, you can come out of bed, you can come to mom's room, you can go and play. So you need to give our younger children, that 3 to 5 year old or two, we recommend the clock from 2 years old right up until 6 years of age,
Yeah.
Giving them, providing visual tools to help teach them that concept of time. And once they understand the concept of time, it allows you as a parent to get a bit of a lie in, maybe on some days as they get older.
Because that was going to be my next question. How do you implement that clock time? When do they know it's 7 a.m.? But of course, when the kids are a little bit older, you can put a clock in their room.
100%.
Yes.
So from the age of 2, we recommend the toddler clock because it helps to teach a child the concept of time. They're not looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
They are just looking at the color. They're looking at the perception of day and versus night. My son is 9 years old and he loves his clock. He doesn't want to give it up. I told him, you can get a normal digital clock now. You are old enough. But he doesn't. He likes his clock. I used it since I was a child. I really like my clock. And my twins have the same. It's available on our website. We do sell it as a visual aid and a visual tool for sleep. Parents who are really keen on teaching their children that concept of time, I definitely recommend it from 2 years and older.
Thank you, Sada. Your passion, we can see, for promoting better sleep as you shines through. You don't want to stop talking, alhamdulillah, and that's a good thing. Let's finally discuss post-holiday strategies for maintaining healthy sleep habits. Don't forget you can interact with us on our WhatsApp line and our social pages if you've got any questions, or you can try and contact, at least get hold of Sarah directly through her pages. Back in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are discussing sleeping habits and good sleeping habits amongst, and creating that consistent sleeping habits amongst the holiday chaos, which we love to enjoy, but it's also time to relax. So maybe use that sleeping habits as a cue card that's, it's relax time. We discussed in our previous segment with Sarah some physical activities during the day which improves sleep quality in children, as well as mindfulness practices. Teach them how to breathe, teach them how to just be still, which also helps reduce stress and anxiety in children when things does become overwhelming. Holidays come and go, but sleep habits we establish will last all year round. So let's explore post-holiday transition and help parents maintain those sleeping habits they worked so hard on establishing throughout the year. So, Sarah, how can parents gradually transition kids back to regular sleep schedules after the holidays?
So Sakhawa, I always tell parents, again, during the holidays when sleep is inconsistent, our circadian rhythm is a little bit confused and it needs time to readjust. So it takes 5-7 days for the circadian rhythm to readapt to new changes. So about a week before schools are due to open, then I recommend getting your kids starting into that routine, because then by a week later, when school is starting, their circadian rhythm is already adapted to sleeping early and waking up early as well.
So when we understand that we also have to maintain consistency despite post-holiday fatigue, what type of tools can we use to create that consistency and also possibly address sleep regression after holidays?
Yes, I definitely do think regressions to a certain extent might be normal, because now your child is struggling to understand what is consistent. So the consistency, going back to your routine, going back to doing your bedtime routine, maybe you were flexible about the bedtime routine. You weren't doing the 30-minute bedtime wind down, starting with the bath, quiet wind down. You were doing screen time late in the evening. Then I do believe come that week before school, start telling your kids, it's now, school is going to open soon and we need to start getting back into routine. Putting your children a little bit to sleep a little bit earlier can also help, because remember, when we suffer from lack of sleep, we accumulate what we call sleep debt in our bodies. So that's the lost sleep that actually catches up in our body. And sometimes putting your children earlier to sleep for maybe 2 or 3 nights can just give them an opportunity to catch up on that lost sleep so that you can adapt better to that normal bedtime when school is starting.
Are there any success stories, because you've dealt with lots of parents and little ones, that you can share of families who actually maintained sleep routines during the holidays and was quite successful, and those that maybe hasn't, what are the causes, what are the repercussions of that?
I follow the 80-20 rule, and I tell my parents I would always follow the 80-20 rule, regardless of whether it is holidays or not. I can definitely get it from a personal perspective. There were occasions where my husband and I were on holiday, and yet every single night at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, we are back in our hotel room, putting our kids to sleep. And that is very much a personal choice and a personal decision. It was our choice to prioritize our children's sleep. We actually loved putting them down to sleep early, and then we could have a quiet supper together. We can, if we are at the beach, we can take a quiet walk down for a short while. We really did appreciate the early bedtime because it gave us an opportunity as a couple to connect, because maybe sometimes in your ordinary day-to-day living, you get so busy you don't have time to connect. So I've had parents who were very strict like me, who kept to the routine. And I do have other parents who, it's holidays, we enjoyed ourselves, and they do come back and they struggle to get their children to fall asleep, or their children are used to new habits. So I still maintain that how your child falls asleep at bedtime, that for me is a non-negotiable. Whether you are in Durban on holiday, whether you are overseas, whether you are at Nani's or Granny's house for the holiday, how your child goes to sleep at night should not deviate. That should always remain consistent. So that when you come back and you want to maybe you're just going to tweak the timing of bedtime and the order of bedtime and the steps of bedtime. But how your child falls asleep is something that remained consistent throughout the holiday period. So that is the one piece of advice I give to my clients. Even for my clients who are going on holiday and are a lot more flexible, I would still maintain when you are in your hotel room and your child needs to sleep, focus on maintaining how your child falls asleep. Just as you do it at home, do it at your hotel room. Your environment should not matter, obviously, except if you are in a restaurant or some sort of thing.
What are the sort of ideas that you have around women, parents that are really struggling to settle a child down, whether they're on holiday or they're just over the weekend at their grandparents? Because at the end of the day, everybody has an input. Everybody wants to help. The child goes from one hand to another. What are the common mistakes that we make that we should try to avoid? Like you say, keep consistency, but now you decide, okay, let Nani put the baby to bed, or let he sleep by this one or that one. What are telltale signs that you just advise us not to do?
So I do believe it's not a bad thing for other caregivers to put a baby to sleep. I do believe it's important for our children to learn that mom and dad are not the only ones who can put me to sleep. However, I do believe that if we get to that point, it's important to manage mom's expectations. For her to know and understand that the first night Nani or Granny is going to put your baby to sleep, it's not going to happen easily. It might take a little bit longer. Granny is going to probably struggle a little bit because baby and her are figuring a new way of how to sleep. With mom, it's very easy and routine. Baby knows what to expect from mom. Mom knows what to expect from baby. But with children, it will be normal and common that it's going to take a little bit longer. So to set Granny up or another caregiver up for success, I would make sure that on that day, that bedtime routine is done, that the child has gone to bath, that bedtime is happening at the right time, that we've limited the screen time, because we want to set baby and child up for success. And we can't set Granny and the child up for success if we broke all the rules in the day. So it's when you want to implement something new at bedtime, then make sure you kept all the rules in place in the day. It's going to make your role and the job for whoever it is much more easier. So don't set them up for failure, set them up for success for that.
And of course, we'd like to push all the information that we've given. So Sarah, could you just share some long-term benefits of maintaining that healthy sleep habits during the holidays, so we can sort of emphasize what we just said now?
Alhamdulillah, as I said, my children are now 6 and 9 years old. I can definitely speak from a personal perspective. My children sleep very well, alhamdulillah. I don't know what a broken night of sleep is really, unless they are sick or there's something really bothering them. And the gift of sleep, my children thrive in learning. When it comes to what their brain does during sleep, their brain literally processes all the learning that needs to happen in the day. They process learning at night. So they will thrive in school. They will excel at school. They will not struggle and grapple with concepts because their brain has enough time at night to process whatever they are trying to learn. they literally grow. Their immune system is super boosted during the night sleep. My son is so thrilled because my husband and I are not tall people. We are relatively short. And my son is growing quite well. We
Oh,
are surprised at how tall he's becoming. And he tells me, Mommy, it's because I slept so much, because the growth hormone is only secreted at night
very
when we go to
true.
sleep. So he teases me. He said, because I sleep so much, I'm so tall. And maybe it is, Allah knows, but really, I can only attest to the fact that when children are sleeping well, parents are sleeping well.
Yeah,
And if parents are sleeping well, we are well regulated and we can be the caregivers we need to be. If we are
very true.
constantly tired, we are never going to parent in the best way possible because we don't have the time or the energy to focus on being better. But if you are well rested, you can definitely prioritize being the best version of yourself for Allah, for your family, and I don't think there's a greater gift that we can give our children.
Absolutely, not better said, holistically healthy. So, lastly, and I just want to add that common saying of growing big and strong has definitely got to do with sleep when they say that. So, believe it. What resources are available that you can share with parents who are struggling with their kids sleeping during the holidays, and also just your message, your last words, inshallah?
Sister Khawa, Alhamdulillah, we are in business for 12 years. We have an amazing wealth of resources, information, blogs, articles, videos, short reels on our Instagram page, on our website. There is no shortage of information. I think the concern nowadays is that there's too much of information. So I always tell my parents, give us a follow on Instagram, give us a follow on our website, subscribe to our newsletter. You are getting responsible, accurate information with regards to your baby. And if you are really struggling, contact us. We have a contact page on our website. We offer free assessments for every parent who comes into contact with us. Let us do a free assessment, because sometimes it can be the small things that we change that can have amazing results. And sometimes it's not even in a full consultation. Sometimes it's just in a chat, and I tell mom, I think this is a problem. Maybe try this instead. And maybe a week later, mom tells me, it's amazing. My child is sleeping better. So there's always help. We are here to help. You can always give us send us a follow, send us a message, and we will contact you and we will give you a call for that free assessment. And it can be life-changing. I promise you, it can be life-changing.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much, Bibi Patel, for your time and expertise once again, and for sharing this passion. I can see definitely it does shine through, and insightful advice on maintaining healthy sleep habits during the holidays and helping our audience navigate holiday sleep challenges. We appreciate your time, and your guidance has definitely been an invaluable asset right now and quite enlightening. Till we speak again, Assalamu alaikum, and definitely we'll have a follow-up show with you soon, inshallah, hopefully around Ramadan and sleep. But all the best to you on your side, and happy sleeping. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah khair.
Khair. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on Sleepy Seasons today, and how to protect your child's sleep patterns during the holiday chaos. Remember, prioritizing sleep during the holidays sets your child up for success, growth, mind, body and soul for the new year. Let's all support parents and caregivers to create and maintain consistent sleep schedules and reduce the risk of possible sleep disorders in our children. Establishing a bedtime routine takes about 2 to 4 weeks to become a habit, and with the help of the Almighty, every small step to raising an holistic, all-rounded leader for the future, it will be an absolute victory. For more sleep tips and resources, please visit Sara's website and connect with her via her social media pages for ongoing sleep guidance. Thank you once again. Thanks again to Sara, once again to her, our sleep consultant, Bibi Patel, who we will see hopefully soon again on the show. Remember to subscribe to all our shows for more enlightening conversation. Join us next time for more empowering shows. Until then, stay informed, stay holistically healthy, mind, body and soul, and enjoy your sleep. From the rest of the Life Matters team here in our Johannesburg studios, be safe, wassalamu alaikum, and goodbye.